Okay, this video I'm going to cover about Authenticate 2022, an identity conference that was held in Seattle last week, October 17th to the 19th. So this is going to be a little different than my other videos.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Give me your systems display.
Last chance to get out of this without a prison sentence.
The Matrix is everything. It is all around us.
All right, there was a little tension breaker that had to be done, all right?
Okay, the conference is put on by the FIDO Alliance. It has a lot of different partners, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Yubico, several other companies. There were 500 in-person attendees and it was around 500 virtual attendees. I personally attended. This was 100% out of pocket for me, so everything here that I'm talking about is my personal thoughts on this. Okay, to get downtown from the airport, you can head out of the airport, go through the parking garage to the train. You can also take an Uber or a taxi, but I like the train. It's $3 one way. Takes about 30 minutes to get there. Takes you right downtown. There's a lot of different stops along the way. The stop that I got off at was the Westlake station, which takes you right downtown. You can easily walk to Pike's Place Market, or in this case to the hotel, the Sheraton Grand. Okay, the Sheraton Grand, nice hotel. There was a Starbucks in the lobby. Really, actually, a fantastic hotel for this conference. People did complain that the Starbucks closed at 2 p.m. Doesn't really matter. You're in Seattle, Washington. There's a Starbucks on every corner. I walked a block, I think it was west, and it was a large Starbucks right there. So that was easy to get to. The last day of the conference, we went to the Museum of Pop Culture. A lot of fun. To get there, all we did was we walked down to the Westlake station. We went upstairs though this time, and we got on the monorail that takes you, there's only one stop and it takes you right to the Museum of Pop Culture. Kind of cool. Also, I suggest if you're in Seattle and you're in this area, visit Pike's Place. Everybody goes there. This is the place that they throw the fish to people. I go there for other things. There's a really nice smoked fish if you like smoked fish. Fantastic place there. If you're going to be flying, they will vacuum seal it for you so you're not dealing with a smelly luggage piece when you get home. Okay, so when the show started, day one, there's a lot of different events that go on, but I just attended the conference. Day one, I attended the FIDO 101 conference. This was a really good Kickstarter for people. I wanted to go to it so I could see what other people were picking up during that session. I've been working with FIDO for over 4 years now by working with Yubico, and this was a great kickoff for folks. I also wanted to talk to Paul Heim, who's in charge of the certification. There's kind of two categories that I see for certifications. There's product certifications and there's personal certifications. I'm personally going to get my FIDO certification in the coming weeks, and I wanted to talk to Paul about some of the details around that. Okay, one of the keynotes was by Roger Grime. One of the key things I pulled away from his presentation was a situation where there was an executive who clicked on an invalid push request to his phone for authorization. He clicked on it over 80 times when it was invalid, and these were requests that were coming in from a foreign country. It makes you wonder why somebody would click on it for 80 different times when it's invalid. And when they spoke with him, he was told when he was onboarding, when you get this message, just click on it. And we can all kind of relate to that if we've ever onboarded non-technical people in IT. We're going to try to make it as easy as possible for them to understand. In this case, it resulted in 80 times somebody clicking on an invalid authorization request. Not a good thing. Another thing that he pointed out, a term that he used that I thought was interesting, was crypto agility, looking for applications that are crypto agile. The point here is making sure an application is not so tightly coupled with a certain algorithm that if that algorithm becomes compromised, the entire application is invalid, that they can't pivot to a new algorithm that's more secure. So kind of focusing on that as an organization. And as an application developer, I think that's important as well, to focus on having that agility in your authentication algorithms that you use. One of the buzzwords at the conference this year was Passkeys. Everybody wanted to know more, and it was two presentations that really drove home what Passkeys was about. And that was Hey FIDO, Meet Passkeys by Scott and Tim from Microsoft. It was a great presentation, got into some really good details of what the concept of Passkeys from their perspective is. And then the follow-on presentation, which lined up right after, and it was perfectly aligned, those two meetings, because everybody pretty much stayed in that room, and that was Relying Party Security Considerations for Multi-Device Credentials by John Bradley from Yubico. Now, they were talking about the same thing here. Multi-device credentials and passkeys are the same thing, and I think that's one of the challenges with passkeys right now, is getting the definition of what passkeys is. Pam from Microsoft later on in her keynote, I think, provides a better definition of it, and it's more of passkeys is an umbrella term for a multi-device credential or a single device credential, and I'll put that slide up here from Pam's presentation. But there was a lot of really good information that was provided around passkeys. I do think that there's a fantastic space implementation for multi-device credentials that was provided by Passkeys. I'm really excited to see what comes of that. There's also another key term that I picked up here that I didn't see anywhere else. This was the first time, and that was device public key, or DPK. That's something else. If you're getting into Passkeys, you're going to want to know where DPK fits in, because it's key to the implementation. Okay, so during Pam's presentation, she did talk about passkeys and just the journey of more secure authentication. One thing that I want to take away that she mentioned was about post-authentication attacks. And I think that's really important for the FIDO community to also consider as we go on this journey of securing authentication, because I think that there's some parts of the FIDO spec that can actually help us with this post-authentication security. Another thing that Pam talked about was ITDR, Identity Threat Detection and Response. This is about responding, having more automated systems in place that detect these identity threats and automatically remediates them. I think that there's a lot of AI that's being used in this space, and some of the sessions that I was at really pointed out that this is a key area that a lot of companies are focusing on. So that's really good movement as well. Okay, just a few other notes about the conference outside of the presentations. Food, plentiful, lots of it. It was fantastically done. I think the hotel did a great job. I think the FIDO Alliance, the menu that they selected was fantastic for everybody that attended. Now, who should attend this conference? Hopefully in 5 to 10 years, this conference won't be around because we won't need it if all is successful in FIDO. But if you do have any interest in attending this conference as a company, I would not send a sales team. This is not a sales team event. You're not finding customers. The team you really should send here, and I think it's the most value, and I think this is the perfect conference forum in this space, is your channel team. Building those partnerships between these companies, because there's a lot of different puzzle pieces here that you can put together to build a really great product, and this is a great event to build those connections. If you're a technical person and you want to learn more about FIDO and just authentication in general and the challenges big companies and small companies are facing, this is a perfect conference to do that. The hallway conversations, they were the most valuable for me. The sessions were great. They were very structured presentations, awesome presenters, but the hallway conversations, some of the people I spoke with at the booths, really opened my eyes up to new avenues that I should be thinking about in this space. So kudos for that. Now, overall, I'm going to say I thought it was a great show for me. Paying for it out of pocket, it was 100% worth it. Outside of meeting some of my old friends from Yubico and Axiid and some of the other companies, I learned a lot about where the community maturity level is at. I've been working with FIDO for over about 5 years. I'm not going to say over 5 years. About 5 years is when I first started playing around with it. And the technology is solid. The security around it is fantastic. Some of the implementation is kind of hard, though, for users to understand. That's why I think the community is creating all these new ways of implementing FIDO. I don't know if that's a good thing yet. I guess we'll see. I think The umbrella term for passkeys would be a great move forward, and then multi-device credentials versus single device credentials. I think that will be key. Keep the technical with the technical people. End users who are using our systems need to just refer to it as passkeys, and then how we implement it as technical people, depending on our system, is where we need to be. But outside of the disruption that passkeys seems to be causing, I think that the FIDO waters have a lot of very large ships: Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and they all have their own technology destination that they're trying to be at with this. So they're all pushing for their own, but they generally are going in the same direction. And that's amazing when you start talking about how big these companies are, that the common threads that are between them to get to that destination is a lot more than what they don't have in common. So, and what I also took away from this conference was it's not only about the big players in this space, the voice that smaller companies with really intelligent people being able to interface with these large companies at this type of conference. You can see that at the tables when you see people during the break sit down and just talk with each other. You have people from Google, you have people from Microsoft, and the smaller companies, just everybody collaborating at the tables because they're all going for the same destination. They just have different needs as larger companies. So it's really good to see everybody being listened to. One last note, like I said, I am taking the FIDO Certified Professional Exam. In a couple weeks, I'll have some more videos coming up on that. But if you're interested in learning more about that, the FIDO Alliance site has information on it. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at TrevorTech. And I'll also have some more videos coming out, so please, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and go get some FIDO in your life.